find if they're in Canada right now. It's the number one search thing when I see it.
All right, friends, welcome back to the Trent and Zyori podcast. This is episode number 143. Last one we did was with Linus Olmark, the Sabres goalie, so it's been a little while since we've had just a purely dedicated Dota episode, but here we are. It is April 17th, 2019 at 10:30 a.m. We just watched the conclusion of Day 2 of ESL Mumbai, so that lined up about perfectly for us to get started with some Dota chatter, and of course, we're heading off to Dota Pit in just about 2 days' time now. So we're getting packed up, getting excited for the next Dota Minor to be underway, and we're going to be there bringing you all the action. So I'm pretty stoked, dude. How you doing today?
Great. It's so soon. When am I crazy? When was the last time we cast together? Like at a LAN? Was it actually the Super Major?
I want to say yes because I haven't really cast all that much on this circuit, and the little that I've done has mostly been from the basement.
Yeah. So I think this is our first time since Super Major,
Damn.
which seems insane to me.
Yeah, that is kind of insane. Man, time really flies by. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, we're going to be casting together some, but I think I'm actually going to be hosting a fair bit of this thing because it's a pretty small talent group.
That is also true.
So I don't know if it's going to be, there's 6 of us. So I don't know if it's going to be 2 on and then 4-person panel, or if it's 3-person panel with 2 casting and then 1 off person. I'm not sure exactly what the layout is, but I was under the impression that I'd be putting on my host hat for a lot of it.
Now, speaking of, we might as well just start right at Dota Pit, honestly, because, it's pretty exciting. How many of the days are in the arena? Is it all in the arena? Am I crazy?
So my understanding, the whole event is in the arena. However, it's not a very big arena. And if you recall the last Dota Pit, it was in a hotel, and the hotel was really nice, and they had conference rooms set up that were kind of connected, so it was a pretty big space, actually kind of a cool stage, really cool trophy, and there was seating for, 100 people, maybe 150 people there?
Maybe 100, I would say.
Something like that. It was pretty small, right? But there was a very small audience. I think that they really wanted to capture that kind of an atmosphere again, but for the minor, they had to up the ante a little bit. I don't know, like, what qualifies as a live audience? You know, if you limit it to 200 tickets, does that count for the threshold? I would imagine so. But I think this venue is meant to be a lot more cozy. You know, I don't think it's going to be like a 1,000-person kind of stadium. This is going to be a very, very intimate experience for casters, players, fans alike, is my understanding.
All right. I'm pretty into it, man. First time back in Croatia. Obviously, it's kind of the only event that runs there, right? Is Dota Pit. So I know, at least for me, the flights are a lot better this time, I think, because it's not January. So I think more people are vacationing to Croatia. So the flights, I think, were just straight up better. You don't have to land like in Zagreb first or anything. Everyone's kind of coming from a little further away. So that's one of the worst parts about heading there.
Yeah. I think I bitched about my flights pretty sufficiently last time, where Mott and I got stuck in that hellacious, like, 36-hour one-way itinerary getting back from Split with multiple long layovers. We saw the whole tour of Europe and the East Coast before we got back to Denver. This time it's much better. I'm going to be flying with Grant, so that's exciting. I got a little co-pilot to join me.
That's a party.
So I'm stoked. That should be fun.
You guys can hook into the... Okay, so let me explain to you the Civ Wi-Fi. Well, to go off on another tangent. So the way that the multiplayer works for Civilization, because I saw you tweeting about it, it's very finicky. So the Nintendo Switch has this great little system where you can create your own network between 2 switches. So like if I want to play Smash with you and we're sitting next to each other, we can just wirelessly connect and play Switch together.
Okay.
However, the Civilization, for some reason, does not use this feature. Instead, you both have to connect to the same network, and the network basically can't have a firewall, or the ports get blocked, and you can't play together. So, for example, Lyrical and I were sitting next to each other playing Smash at Kiev, but in order to play Civilization next to each other, we both connected to the Star Ladder Wi-Fi, and we couldn't play with each other. It wouldn't allow us to do it. So it was very disappointing.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, but the single player is still incredible. It's very good.
Right. Well, when I was reading about the specs, I thought it was mostly single player anyway, so that's really where my expectations lied. I think I tried doing that Switch thing, but with Smash, and it's really weird. Like, the game kept like freezing to sync up, like where it kept having these little micro lags. It was very strange. I don't know if you've ever played Smash on that. What's it called? The network where you can just connect the switches together.
Yeah, it worked for us.
Really?
We were playing it quite a bit. I barely even noticed the lag, honestly. It was sick.
I don't know. This was a while ago. This was like right after it was released, so I don't know if that had something to do with it. I might have been out of date, so to speak, but that's my only experience with that system that they set up. In theory, it's pretty cool, though. I love the idea of being able to play wirelessly with somebody without an internet connection, just being in the same room.
So if you guys, theoretically, if the plane Wi-Fi, because the plane Wi-Fi system is pretty bad, like there's actually a chance that you and Grant could connect to it and play Civ on one of your flights.
You know,
that'd be so funny.
You're really onto something here.
Yeah, I've seen people post about having done it before, so there's a possibility. But yeah, so flying with Grant, that will be excellent. I don't have a flight buddy, but that's okay. I've got the Nintendo Switch, which makes life completely bearable when it comes to flying.
Right. Well, I was going to say you should be used to not having a travel buddy at this point. I mean, not many people hailing from Nova Scotia to these esports events, you know.
Actually, but remember last time on our way back from Croatia, the woman in front of me in security was also flying to Halifax. That was weird. She was on like all my flights on the way home. That was really strange.
That was one of the weirdest places to find somebody from. I would say Halifax is another relatively obscure airport where I don't bump into other. Even if I see other Canadians, they're usually flying to Toronto or Vancouver or something. Almost never Halifax. Not a common destination in my experience.
How odd.
That was some small world shit. Hopefully we have better luck with bags, because Dota Pit was the great bag event for you, Mr. Trent.
Yes. Well, this is also part of my question. We have how many days? It's a lot of days for a minor.
I think it's like 7. It's 6 or 7 work days.
22nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, I think it's 7 days.
Yeah. It's not short.
7 days carry on. That's cutting it close.
Yeah.
With I mean, obviously if you didn't have to bring work clothes, it wouldn't be so bad. But having to bring suits and shirts and then wanting things to wear that aren't suits and shirts. 7 days, I don't know, man. I might have to check a bag.
I'm definitely going to have to check a bag. I'm pretty spoiled international these days, where I like carrying a pillow as my personal item, so I get that full rest up against the wall, just lose yourself into the softness of the pillow. You can kind of forget that you're on the airplane. You can almost pretend that you're just in a car on a really long road trip surrounded by a lot of strangers that you don't really like that much. That's my sweet spot now. That's my zen when I'm flying on those long trips. But Grant always makes me feel bad if I don't check a bag, because he goes minimalist. He goes checked bag with everything, basically no carry-on. He goes wallet, cell phone, bottle of water.
Yep, that's Grant. That's the Grant fly.
That's Grant. It's minimalist as fuck. Sometimes he'll do like a little backpack, throw a couple key necessities in there. He told me yesterday that he was thinking about picking up a Switch before this trip so that we could game together. So I am actually pretty excited about the prospects here.
I can just envision him complaining about how it's not Melee if he plays Smash, but that's okay. That sounds like Grant.
Dude, well, he was really talking up the Civ. He told me that it is legit one of the most fun he's had playing games of that kind of genre ever.
He plays it a lot.
Yeah.
He plays a lot with like Bleak, I think, and Peter. I think they all just kind of have their little gaming sessions, grinding it out. So he thoroughly enjoys it.
I got the most hipster response from Syndrin, by the way, who said, well, I can suggest Civ 2. That was really a great game. If you don't mind the bad graphics, I think you'll really love it. And I can't tell how serious that tweet is, although my first read-through was that is 100% serious, and that is actually the version that he recommends is somehow the most fun.
I'm more of a Civ 4 guy myself. That was my Civ.
That's good.
But in terms of the actual LAN itself, there were some big upsets, I guess. Oh, where are my notes? Oh, yes, I wrote some notes. So,
the
qualifiers, of course, it's all mashed together when it comes to MDL and Dota Pit, because obviously you have to, lose at the Disneyland quals to even come to these ones. But to start, basically, we have Forward at the North American qualifier because they beat JStorm, and for both of these teams, this is the first time they're not just straight up at the major. Even because NA still had their 3 slots, but then we had Team and Complexity taking it down, which is kind of crazy. That's the first time. I mean, obviously the first time Team's making it to a major. I don't think Cole made it to a major before. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that's their first major of the season as well. I'll double check. But that was a bit of a shocker. So then these guys had to kind of grind it out, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like they've been to a major this year. I didn't think so. In fact, the last major Cole was at was apparently the Boston major, from what I can see.
Jesus, dude. Talk about memories. My God.
Yeah. Oh, well, Epicenter. Okay, Epicenter kind of counts, I suppose.
It's a major level tournament, yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind. It was just a completely incomplete list. They were at the Bucharest major, too. Yeah, they were 9th and 11th, but they were there. So yeah. Anywho, we have forward coming there. So this is our CCNC stack, of course. He's on there. Kitrack's the captain or the drafter now, or at least, or I guess you want to call him captain too. Snake King's back. It's kind of a rebirth of forward. And then we have eHome as well, who this team somehow keeps on chugging despite all of the issues of like, it's like a whole new team now. Like this roster has changed so much. Oh my God, look, inactive players right now. All right. This is crazy. All right, let me list you the inactive players currently for eHome. We've got 11, Kuvara, MS, Old Chicken, Faith Beyond, ASD, and I think that's Tian Ming, right?
I have no idea.
Oh my God, that's actually insane.
It makes me wish I was more on the pulse of the region so I could really give the scoop of what's going on, because something's happening over there,
Well, in the past, since the January, so since March, basically since the start of March, they've had 3 new players join. And with N Ferrari and Xingqiu, who is on loan from Serenity Man. All these loans that they have in the Chinese scene. But I don't think they're really expected to do too much. Royal Never Give Up has been looking pretty good, of course, with the legendary Afu. Guy's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good list for a minor. I guess the South American team is the one that we probably know the least about. It's Majestic Esports.
I only know Whisper.
K1, Chris Brown, Whisper, Duna, and Yadomi. Their captain is Pinks.
K1 is Hector. Okay, I do know Hector. I didn't know he changed his tag.
Okay. And then Boom ID from Southeast Asia. They've been popping up recently. We did cast the EU and CIS, but from the little bits I saw in the other regions, Gambit is still my favorite. If I had to pick a winner to move on to the major from the minor, I think Gambit has still got my bet at the moment.
That's a tough call.
It's hard to evaluate the regions, because I think Gambit looked better, but I think they also kind of outclassed their opponents. Maybe you could argue that NIP had to fight some harder opponents, but they had some games that looked a little bit sloppy.
I still want to believe in forward, simply because of Jack. I basically just always fanboy and cheer for forward, I think, because I just want Jack to be happy. That's all I want in my life.
Well, to be fair, I don't think forward's going to do poorly. I would probably guess a top 3 finish for them. I don't know if I would go so far as to say I would predict them winning it, but I could see like a Gambit NIP forward top 3. Gambit 1, NIP 2, forward 3.
Yeah, I think my top 4 are those 3, and then Royal Never Give Up.
Okay.
I think Alliance is still in the mix for sure. It's just you never know what you're going to get with this team. Sometimes they look good, and then obviously they've still got Madara, who's been playing really well as a stand-in, but just have no idea where to place them. Boom ID, the king of the minors, has not found their way out of one yet.
I think if I had to pick a dark horse, I would probably go Boom ID to make a run for the top. I think hard pressed to see them winning it, but they're a spunky team. Seems like they're good at making those runs, catching people off guard, and causing upsets when one wouldn't expect it. I'm excited to have the DPC app for this event, by the way. You ready to bet some shards, dude? This is the first time that we can gamble as commentators, officially, through the DPC system.
Yeah, you can whine about your shards on broadcast. It's pretty fun.
It's such a great crutch, dude. I can't wait to use this.
It is a bit of a crutch, isn't it?
But it's going to be a good minor. I'm looking forward to it. I'm stoked to go back to Croatia. I'm glad we're finally getting to do an event on this circuit. I don't know if I'll actually do any more DPC events. It's kind of weird. We're getting to that point in the season where TI is not that far away, which is nuts to think about, given that we don't really have dates. We don't really have specifics. We don't know about the qualifiers. There are a lot of question marks around TI, but you look at that calendar and if I was trying to plan a trip for this, I'd be wanting to do it pretty much around now-ish.
Yeah.
In the very near future. Not that many events left on the circuit either. Like, didn't this whole season just kind of fly by? Is it just me?
Definitely. It felt a lot faster than last year. I would 100% agree with that.
I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's because we've had this interesting mix of big DPC events and also these ESL ones that have also been pretty hype in their own right. And I think one aspect of what this circuit has done is it's created this competitive environment where ESL has had to stand out of the herd, not by relying on, hey, we're an official Valve-supported DPC event, but hey, we're integrating stuff like Lay Earth and adding these production features and doing these cool sponsor activations. Like, they're forced to do things a little bit differently to still carve out that spot in the space for themselves. So we still have had a lot of content this season. Even though it's been less chaotic than seasons past, we've still had a pretty nonstop amount of Tier 1 Dota.
Yeah, now I'm just trying to think, like, so last year, the qualifiers for TI, the open qualifiers started the 14th, then the regionals started the 18th of June, and now this year, our Epicenter Major ends June 30th.
Yes. And notice
goodness.
Notice that there are not TI qualifiers on that schedule.
Yeah.
Which is
when are those?
Something that I had actually forgotten about entirely. Because we were eyeing up some dates around there for an event that we've been talking about a whole lot.
Right, exactly.
And it came to our attention that, there's probably going to be TI qualifiers like probably a week after Epicenter's done. I would guess a little buffer after July 4th, and we're going to see some TI qualifier action.
Yeah, I would say so. And of course, they're a lot smaller this year, though, because of the changes there. So, like, currently, what is it? It's one slot per region, right? Yeah. God, that's so crazy. Oh man, it's gonna be so weird to see how it's all mixed up because of like the way the points get allocated.
But isn't that more hype though? In some ways, it's only one slot. Like, this is it. The real season was the DPC circuit, so this is kind of like the second chance. So all these teams are clamoring to this. Oh my God, there's still a hope we could be the beacon of the region that qualifies, but it's only one. There's no buffer, dude. It's only fucking one. That's hype. I can't wait to cast that shit. And it makes you wonder too, like, is BTS going to do a hub this year? Does it make sense to do a hub without
Are we hubbing?
Tier 1 teams? Are we doing a MOONDUCK hub? Are we all just sitting home, casting, doing a fucking virtual hub and kicking back and doing our thing? I have no idea. I hadn't even thought about it until probably about a week ago. The time got away from me.
List of like teams that are basically guaranteed to TI, like Fnatic are probably guaranteed now with the third place at Dream League. That's like, they're not mathematically in, but they're basically guaranteed. LGD are basically guaranteed. Even some like NIP are practically in. Like, there's just not a lot of points left.
Yeah.
Especially if you assume that any of the teams that are already qualified take up any of the points,
That's
like
the kicker.
A single top 5 finish kind of deal is just going to take away so many points from these other teams trying to get in.
What if it's Virtus Pro and Secret in the grand finals of Epicenter?
Exactly. And you're just like, everyone will know. Like, that's actually be so anticlimactic. If like, what if the top 4 teams at Epicenter are like VP, Secret, Vici, EG? We get to that point, and suddenly everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, we can just do the math now, guys. We can just like we know who's at TI."
Yeah.
Of course, there's still the qualifiers at least. But that is gonna be very strange. It must feel good though to not be on that bubble of just like, are we gonna make TI? Are we gonna get directly invited? Oh my God.
Well, it's certainly a peace of mind that I don't think any team has had enough time to be used to at this point. There's so many years of that, just like, I know we're in, but like, we don't really know if we're in because we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how many teams will be invited. We don't know what our region is going to be considered versus the other regions. Like,
we don't even know what region we are.
Yeah, dude. Shit has a lot of gray area, and it's getting better. And I think this is a step down that road. But the past was definitely rough for players in terms of not knowing your future. You're kind of just living in these month intervals of like, all right, we did this tournament. Okay, we did this tournament. You don't even know what tournaments are on the radar because there's no DPC. You're like, well, does Midas mode count? If we win Midas mode, do we get any brownie points for TI? Is this a waste? It's like, well, Captain's Draft was a minor. I don't know. Where's the cutoff here? It's brutal. It's tough out there, man.
Wow, we had a minor, guys.
Yeah. Talk about a long time ago. Yeah, it's been a while. This last season has been rough to find space for the small guys. I have to admit.
I actually can't believe how little is left. It's just 4 events, 2 little pairings to decide who goes to TI or not.
Yeah. And one of them is coming up like, days away, and the other is weeks away. MDL starts May 4th, I think, May 5th, something like that.
Yeah, very shortly after, I think.
So it's right there.
All right. Well, I'm ready. So, I guess in conjunction though with MDL and Dota Pit, it would be a disservice if we didn't discuss at least what happened to Dream League, because that was going on while we talked to Linus. So, because Vici Gaming, they ran the gauntlet, dude. They did the full win the minor, win the major.
They
Absolutely
did.
insane. I don't know, like if this system were to stay for another like 3 or 4 years, I would have a hard time seeing or like believing that could happen again. I think that's an incredible accomplishment.
It seems pretty unbelievable. However, we were set up for those kind of storylines to happen before, because didn't OG have to play through?
That's true. They went through the opens, which is still incredible.
And
sure.
wasn't there another situation with Liquid where they had to play in a minor and they ended up bombing out? Am I misremembering?
Well, Liquid tried to go to a minor and then they had to leave. Like they
left.
Couldn't go to the minor.
They didn't go. That's what it was. Okay, I am misremembering. My bad. Redacted.
Redacted.
So we've had that potential, but this is the first time it's actually been realized, and I would agree. It's a crazy accomplishment that is hard to contextualize against TI, because TI is so massive, but just considering the context of what that gauntlet actually feels like, and when you look at the calendar and the dates, those guys were playing some serious Dota. That shit is a grind. You qualify for the minors, you play the minors, you qualify for the major, you play in the major. Like it's impressive. It takes a physical toll. There's a lot of commitment that needs to take place for something like that to occur.
Why I think that it's also kind of unlikely in some cases that it relies on the minor and the major being close to each other as well, like physically close. I mean, I guess it could happen again because we have Croatia to France. That's not that bad, but we had some of the other ones that was like Sweden to Kuala Lumpur.
Yep.
Like poor Tigers, man. They showed up exhausted.
That was probably the worst one. I mean, we both talked. I think we bumped into Theban and Co. when we were getting some food or something, and they just looked like I'm still jet lagged. Our games are done. We played one day and we lost, and I don't really even remember it. It's just this blur of jet lag and failed Dota, and
That's
I wish we could have just had a chance to like maybe play on one of the other days, or just have our games broken up, or just anything. It felt like we got off the plane, I sat down in front of a computer, I started playing Dota, I lost, and they said, well, you're out, see you later. That's basically, it was a pretty brutal experience for those guys. I felt bad. I really did.
Oh man. And well, I guess in terms of like our team who's going to leave from the Dota Pit minor, we already kind of discussed we think our favorites are, but they will be joining the other 15 teams in that epic battle in France.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, does their promotional poster have Notre Dame on it? It does.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, of course. I mean, hey, that was obviously a horrific tragedy, but at least no one got hurt. That is the nice thing about it, at the very least.
That is true.
It will be rebuilt again, but still pretty sad. Obviously, a nice cultural icon, especially for some of these people who probably had never been there or something, and now it's just like, oh well, that's a little disappointing. But at the same time, you're seeing kind of a nice humanitarian moment. You're hearing about all these donations and stuff. Now they're going to restore it, and they're accepting bids from around the world to redesign it and stuff because it's been rebuilt before. It'll probably be rebuilt again. It's not actually going to last forever. So as long as people aren't dying, I hope people can just kind of be cool with that.
I had a very kind of selfish thought of just like, wow, I'm so glad that I actually went to France and went out of my way to go see it and go in it. Like I've actually been there and walked around and seen the cathedral at every angle and stuff. And like, I remember being in France and thinking like, I'm not really that into churches. What do I care? And one of my friends was really like, oh, you got to see it. It's really, it's that cool. Trust me. And I'm glad that I got peer pressured into doing it, because it really is it's pretty magnificent structure. It's way more impressive than any of the buildings we've got over here in North America. Our stuff's a little bit newer, and it's not any nicer, Yeah,
the windows as well, like the stained glass. The fact those survive is pretty huge. I think that was the number one thing a lot of people were concerned about because those things are like hundreds of years old.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So in terms of like, do you think any of these teams from the minor could realistically win MDL?
My immediate knee-jerk reaction is no. I think this major is pretty stacked. I think when you're talking like VP, Secret, even LGD to a degree.
Vici, of course.
Vici as well.
Fanatic,
these teams just look on a level above, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
I think let's see, who are my bottom 8 at the major? We got like Team Complexity, Pain, Chaos, Keen, Empire, and then whoever wins the minor.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I'd agree with that general breakdown.
Yeah, and then you've got the difference between like Mineski is a little untested with their new lineup. Of course, they're playing currently at ESL and looking all right, but not the most stacked tournament at the moment. But they're still doing okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a good month of Dota there, guys.
Yeah, it will be. So let's talk about ESL a little bit, dude, and let's talk about some of the horse shit that led up to this ESL tournament and some of the teams dropping out, because we are talking about the minor here, and the timing is relevant. ESL Mumbai, it's a relatively short tournament, 16th to 21st, so not short, but it's not one of these behemoth, super major kind of level.
Right.
The group stage, today was the second day of the group stage, so day 2 overall. Once we saw the qualifiers for the minor complete, there was this big question mark about, well, some of those teams said that they were going to ESL, and now they're going to the minor. What's going to happen there? And obviously every team that qualified for the minor is prioritizing that over going to ESL Mumbai, and they dropped out. And kind of caught in the fold was J-Storm, who dropped out for other reasons because they wanted to go to the WSOE number 6 event in Las Vegas, which just happened over this past weekend as well, which I want to talk about a little bit. So they're all sort of interconnected in this web of tournaments that have all popped up and kind of overlapped with each other. I don't think anybody's surprised that the minor is king of those, because DPC is king for the circuit, of course. But I guess the flame got thrown towards J-Storm for trying to use that smoke screen as a cover to just sneak over and say, yeah, fuck Mumbai. We're going to go to Vegas instead. This seems like a way better gig. Sorry, not sorry. See you later. And that was it.
I think, personally, I mean, once you lose half the talent pool of teams, I don't know if you can really blame J-Storm, honestly, because like you're missing out on better practice when all the better teams are leaving. Like the teams that are going are basically the teams that didn't make it to the minor or the major. I mean, there's a couple major teams there, right? I think Mineski's a major team. Who else is there?
At ESL?
Is that it? Keen's a major team.
Yep. TNC Predator and Team.
I guess Team's a major, Team's a major team as well. But of course, that's a little bit of a, that's a questionable major team.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's someone who J-Storm probably thinks they should have beaten. Of course they didn't. So all credit to them. But I don't know. I think if a tournament loses all of its teams like that, obviously it's still a really shitty thing to do, but I also understand why they did, especially when you get a team that you can just go, or like an event you can just literally go like fly a short thing.
Yeah, totally.
And just play there. But ESL, at the same time, they had to know this, right? Like the minor dates were announced a long time in advance, but I would assume that their thought process was, hey, let's do events during the minors, because then the good teams will just come to our event for practice.
Right.
That must have been their thought process. I guess they overestimated how badly they wanted to come to India.
Well, it's pretty smart. I think India is definitely a deterrent for some teams, but it's also a factor of, these top DPC teams that aren't in the minor don't want to play in ESL tournaments because they don't need it either. They don't need the money and they don't need the prestige because they're basically guaranteed to TI, or in the case of VP and Secret, they are guaranteed to TI. And they've already won a fuckload of money. So it's like if it doesn't fit on their time zone or their training schedule or their vacation schedule or whatever the hell else they want to do at this point, that's the reward you get for tearing it up at the beginning of the season. Now you can sit back and be very choosy about what events you want to go to. And if you don't want to fly halfway across the globe to have a chance to win 150 grand, then I don't really blame them. It sounds so obtuse to say like 150 grand, fuck that. But, split amongst 5 players for a relatively long tournament, new time zone, like their time is worth a lot. The secret players are very valuable individuals.
They most certainly are. That is true. However, if you think what if this event was Birmingham? I bet you all the major teams would have accepted.
I bet a lot more of them would have. I don't know if I go so far as to say is all, but I agree with the sentiment.
Birmingham is 8 days before the minor. And in terms of like the major, so Birmingham ends the 4th, ends the 2nd of June, and then the major is like later that month, like 20 days later. So that's pretty realistic. But I mean, ESL One Mumbai, there's a decent gap between the the end of this, the 21st it ends, and then the major isn't
Like the
until
4th.
the
So
4th.
yeah, you got a
It's
while.
basically the same.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, I think location is a deterrent, just as there's some teams that would prefer not to play in China if they don't have to. You know, they're not anti-China. They're not going to boycott it, but all things equal, if there's a tournament in North America or Europe and there's a tournament in China and it's about the same amount of money and there's no DPC involved, I think some teams will choose the NA or European event every single time because it's just more convenient.
Man, the qualifiers for Birmingham were so hype because this event is stacked.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 12 teams going to this thing, damn, they got pretty much everyone. Are they missing anyone actually? Like, OG's there, Liquid's there, Secret's there. We got VP, we got EG, we got LGD, and we got Keen too. They have a lot of good Chinese teams. I guess the most surprising thing is Fnatic not being there. But they didn't play in the qualifier. I remember there was something going on that Fnatic couldn't participate.
Yeah,
so.
I can't remember the details.
Yeah, but basically,
man,
yeah, that's kind of insane. That tournament is going to be super hype. It's going to be the best like non-DPC event of the year for sure.
I think so. And they get a little bit more hype towards the end of the season as we get closer to TI, right? Because it like sets up those storylines of a team getting hot, maybe making a run towards the last major, securing that spot at TI. You know, all these storylines are sort of budding at this stage of the circuit, or the season rather. Trent, I'm curious what you think about, like, from the little bits that I've saw, the viewership for ESL Mumbai has been pretty low for ESL. Is that true? Have I just been happening to catch the lower marked games? But
I would say, yeah, it's definitely been low. I mean, it's because of the teams, though.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is like a perfect example of why running events is a little bit scary in this current landscape. Because to run events on this scale, or even close to this scale, where you want to have a big venue and a whole kind of fair type experience, you have to plan super far in advance. And you can only plan around so many variables when you're committing that far in advance. And sometimes this is going to happen. You know, you can sort of reason it both ways where, yeah, maybe the teams that are in the major already will want to go to India and it'll be this really cool experience, or maybe it swings the other way. And for a company like ESL, they can handle this because they've got all these events on the books. They're diversified across all these different games. No single event outside of some crazy outlier or something super ridiculous is going to tank their whole brand or revenue for the year, right? But it's the trend over time that really matters. And you look at how many tournaments they're doing, how big those prize pools are, and reminding ourselves that that's not subsidized by Valve. You see that 300K, and to me, my brain goes, oh yeah, 150, 150. Half that's Valve, half that's Dota Pit. Cool, that makes sense. This is all ESL. Do you think this makes sense? Do you think we're going to see ESL continue to expand in the next circuit? Do you think we're going to see ESL retract? You're closer to the pulse than I am, but as a third-party observer, I'm a little nervous. You know, I wonder if they're getting ROI on these huge events.
I think they really want to make American. I think this is good investment to have events down there, like to have them in India, to have them in Genting. Pretty sure they're gonna keep having their events there. Mm-hmm. I think they're really trying to find that like landmark. Like they want to be the India tournament organizer. I think because there's a lot of money there.
It's true.
Like I know we're not seeing the viewership money, but I think the viewership difference is going to be helped to be made up, especially if they can find like that perfect arena kind of deal in there. I don't really know what the one like that they're at now is like, but of course they're probably not locked into that exact same place for the whole time. Currently, they only have 3 audience days for this event in Mumbai, but I could see themselves just kind of setting up for that growth on the next year.
It is true. I think there's a lot of merit to looking at India as an underserved market for esports and just kind of an underserved market in general, especially given how many people they have. So it's been identified as a big potential expansion market for esports for a long time. So I can definitely understand ESL looking at a more long-term model where, hey, it doesn't even matter if we lose money on these events now because we're ramping up to own this market in the long term and really maximize profits a few years down the road.
They also the opposite thing happened with Birmingham. I think that was expected to be kind of a mediocre event. I mean, it had good teams and stuff, but you're like, I don't know, what's the fanfare going to be like? What's the crowd going to be like? And it just kind of sold out instantly. So everyone knows there's like UK Dota, but I don't think everyone expected to be that passionate and stuff. So that was like a huge win for them. And they're like heroes of the UK. And they're kind of trying to capture that same thing, I think, in Mumbai. And even though if we don't get the same perspective from the stream, I would guess in the local scene that they're getting a lot of love there.
Yeah.
And future events will probably get a lot of stuff.
Well, and I guess it's also important to remind ourselves that there's a duality to all these events where, because we're so tuned for Twitch and everything being accessible and online, that's the product that we think of first. Esports to us is kind of a live visual product that we can watch and interact with and chat. But traditionally, events don't really have that aspect. If they do, it's a very special case, very unique kind of thing. Generally speaking, it's about butts and seats. It's about the live experience, these big stadium concerts. And for a lot of the real world and mainstream that are getting interested in these different facets of esports and finding that crossover where their markets overlap, being able to go to India and just fill out a stadium, and it's like, hey, who gives a shit? 5,000 people are watching this, but there's 5,000 people filling this stadium, buying shit, screaming, going crazy, and people can, especially sponsors and business folk, can feel that energy, see that enthusiasm, and that carries more weight in a lot of markets than whatever that number is online. You can almost look at that viewership as, hey, that's just a bonus, dude. The real action's going on right here. This is where we sell stuff. This is where we make the money. Concessions matter. That shit adds up. That's where
in contrast to that, though, because you want to talk about WSOE.
Yes.
That's like the exact opposite. I mean, this is someone who they're not angling at all for butts and seats. I don't really know what they're angling. They're angling for fat money from sponsors, I guess. I mean, these guys they got those sponsors. I mean, Avira, Progressive, ROG, pretty nice. They got corn nuts. I don't know. Didn't they have Kit Kat time before or something?
Reese's, dude. Reese's.
Yeah, Reese's. That's what it was. Like, this is the, I guess it feels like the Overwatch model to me, if I had to describe it as something. It feels like the tricking investors model. And then when I see 25,000 view bots, I have a hard time not going that route of being like, geez, what are you guys trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes or something?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not accusing them of doing it, but clearly someone's bought the shit out of that channel because every time it turns on, it's got 25 to 50K viewers or something.
So that's what's funny about ViewBot stuff, right? Is that it's a one-way street. So this theoretically can happen where, like, hey, we're just doing this podcast. Some trickster buys a ViewBot for 10K viewers, and people go, well, Zyori and Trent are buying a ViewBot for their podcast. It's like, well, I didn't do anything. Someone else bought it and just sicked it on my channel. So it is one of those weirdly plausible deniability type scenarios where you can always say, I don't know anything about that. Who would?
Someone just did it 2 events in a row to us.
Why would somebody ever want to do that to us? And I don't know that that's happening, of course. And like, I'm not really accusing them of anything, but when you look at the metrics, you can basically look at the breakdown of how many viewers are on this stream supposedly and how many of them are participating in chat. And there's like a gradient of acceptability, but sometimes you can look at that graph and it's so extreme. You're like, this is not real. I know how this product works, and I know that there's no world where 20,000 people are watching this and not making fun of it in chat right now.
Exactly. I know how to look at a Twitch chat and get a rough estimate. Like, it's not going to be the same every time, but the funniest was when it was their first WSOE event, and there was the secondary stream, and it had 25,000 viewers, and I opened the Twitch chat, and it's one guy going, hello? Question mark. And then I just went, hey, dude, what's going on? The stream had been live for about 3 minutes, and it's me and this one dude with a stream with 25,000 people. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah. So it's suspect at the very least. But no, model-wise, I agree. And WSOE is clearly trying to do something very different. We've talked about it a bit before on this podcast. They're really mimicking that UFC model. They want the call-out culture. They want these individual numbered events. They want it to be show matches. The return of Gia. She defends the belt. They want to really build these storylines and make it hype and get that taste of what real-world production can be like. The problem is it's just a little too forced. They've got like this foundation, and they've got some great people that are working for the company, but there's so many non-esports people in the equation. You can tell that there's a lot of voices saying a lot of different things like, this will be cool, this will be great, this will be awesome. And a lot of the people making those calls clearly don't know what resonates with the hardcore esports audience, And I find it a little weird when you're like, you have this panel with Sumail and Arteezy, which is incredible, right? That's why a lot of people tune into the stream. You're listening to Sumail just talk about drafts, just shooting the shit with Richard Lewis. That's awesome. That's exciting to watch because it's so rare. Sumail's a very quiet, introverted person generally. He doesn't go on panels that often. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. So that's a cool opportunity. Then you've got this casting squad with kind of 2 play-by-play casters and Boba. I don't really know that much about Humanist. I don't know if he's an analyst or a play-by-play caster. Obviously, Moxie's a play-by-play caster. But why are you forcing this TriCast with like this amazing analyst? Like, what is the humanist role there? What is he going to say that is going to one up anything Bulba has to say? You know? And why do you need 2 play-by-play people when you're doing it? It doesn't add up to me. And that's where I go back to that word forced. You know, they've got this right formula. They're hiring individually good people. Then they're forcing them together in these kind of combinations that just don't make sense. And I don't understand who it's supposed to resonate with. You know? Like, who's the humanist hardcore audience that it's supposed to capture? What's his value add to that TriCast?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah.
You're taking like a non-Dota guy and putting him in a TriCast as like the color dude, you know? And again, he obviously knows some shit about Dota.
Yeah, he was a Dota guy.
He was.
Then he went to like Vainglory and stuff. But yeah, I would agree. It was a little weird to try and force a TriCast like that.
TriCasts are hard, dude. I think TriCasts are one of those things that are super delicate, and it has to be the right mix of people like Owen, Merlini, Fogged, right? Those are 3 people that know each other very well. They have rapport. They have a good understanding of each other's knowledge, their gaps, who talks when. That is a perfect example of a TriCast that is designed to work well. It is not forced. You know, it just came together. Merlini was retired. You know, it just kind of came together. It was a little organic there. You know, so that's just a microcosm example. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm picking on the individual talent. I just mean more from a broad strokes production. You can hire anybody in the world. Why do you hire those specific people and put them together in that combination? I don't see who's that setting up to succeed. You know?
No, I would agree. I mean, personally, I didn't really watch a whole lot of it because I wasn't very interested in the tournament.
Well, and that too. So. I mean, the format of this, like,
I watched it combined like 1 hour, maybe.
You know, 2 South American teams, 2 North American teams. That like Mason was there playing on another team, and then they square off, and then they face off against Serenity. And I think they cut it from a best of 7 to a best of 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, what happened?
I never got the story on that.
You're right, they did. Wasn't it supposed to be an epic best of 7 when it was announced?
Yeah.
Or was that a different? Maybe that was a different tournament that I'm thinking of.
I'm like 90. Let me pull up the Wikipedia here. I'm sure Twitch chat can help us source it. But I'm like almost positive it was announced as a best of 7. Serenity's
Maybe
Destiny.
That's a different tournament. I feel like. I think we're getting confused.
Are we? Maybe not.
I think so. But now I'm also curious.
But they did play a best of 5. J-Storm did win in 3 games, so it looks like it was a pretty intense series. I think the last game was supposed to be pretty good. It did go 72
some people saying it said best of 7 on Wikipedia. So I do remember there was an event announced that was going to be a best of 7. Maybe this was it. I remember they were like an epic best of 7 again because it was the 1 day thing, right? Was the plan?
Yeah, exactly. No, I remember that pretty clearly, and I see a lot of people sort of agreeing with us, even though it's not on Wikipedia anymore. Yeah, here we go. It's still live on their website.
Oh, okay, there you go. So it was planned to be best of 7. Serenity.
Yeah, Destiny. 1 match, 1 final best of 7 series between Serenity and the top contender. So
yeah,
we were correct. We should not have doubted ourselves. So it's interesting. Again, like I applaud people for doing something different. I like a lot of the elements they're bringing to the show. I think they do a great job of making it engaging, breaking up the panels, not making it just half an hour of talking heads. There's a ton of positives to what WSOE is trying to do. I just wish there was just a little more like a slowdown. It seems like these events are put together very quickly. It'd be great if they could just kind of, I don't know, why not just organize a really awesome show match between 2 really good teams instead of doing this kind of weirdly formatted, again, what feels forced with the teams that they put together to challenge against Serenity.
Yeah, there are some pretty odd teams. No doubt about that.
You know, so it's just, I don't know what to make of it. The whole thing is a big anomaly to me. It's definitely entertaining, though. I've enjoyed some of the stuff they've tried to put onto the stream, the little segments and that kind of shit. But
I don't know. We'll see if they can. I mean, I'm sure they're making a lot of money though, because number one, they're paying for teams, but they're not like they're pretty local. They're not like long flights. Only Serenity, really.
Well, they've definitely got some sort of partnership in Vegas with that studio space that they use because that's used for TV broadcast stuff. So yes, I know their network runs really deep in that area. But
yeah,
that their ad sales is impressive. There's no doubt about that. They've had some incredible non-endemic sponsors. We all look at that and go, "Holy shit, you guys got Progressive and Reese's? What's going on here? Like, we can't even get one of those. We can't even get one that's half as good as those." But that's like that difference. I think we talked about it maybe 2 podcasts ago. That separation of the people that are driving esports that make the authentic content that actually has people tune in, like the Soda Poppins of the world that get 20,000 viewers just watching them fuck around in Grand Theft Auto. Then you have the Suits of the world that control all the business and all the deals. It's like that Philadelphia Fusion thing, that they talked about in that podcast. Hey, we bought this team. Really, what is it? Oh, come into the office and let me show you. He opens up the laptop and shows the guy what he just bought. That's the kind of disconnect we're talking about. The people with the money are not in line with the people that are actually driving the industry and making the content that resonates with all the rest of us that make us, feel good about esports. So it makes me wonder where WSOE will land on that spectrum. It makes you wonder, are their sponsors happy?
I doubt we'll see more Dota events for them.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two more, but to me, they don't. I feel like I would just go to different games if I was them. I don't see what the Dota value is for them.
I would agree.
Other than the fact that Richard Lewis likes Dota, which is good. Obviously, I would like them to keep doing Dota stuff because more Dota stuff's always good.
I guess the advantage is that Valve is very hands-off, right? We know that. And for orgs like that, being able to just run events and not have to get approval, like what kind of Blizzard games are they going to do,
Or like Tekken stuff. Like a lot of the fighting games, for example, you have to like kind of talk to the dev, which is weird.
So I think that is an appeal that Dota has so much freedom and flexibility. Not many games have it to that same degree. So we'll see, though. I guess J-Storm won, so next time it'll be the defense of J-Storm. So I
hope so.
They're going to have to come back and defend the belt.
Is that all our Dota talk that we had written down? I think that covers everything. What else is upcoming? I mean, we have it's basically the major and then Birmingham, right? Pretty much it. There's some Adrenaline Cyber League apparently. Oh, is that the annual Moscow LAN? What a classic, dude. The Adrenaline Cyber League 2019. They always remember this. This is one that Navi won last year versus Virtus Pro, and everyone's like, Navi's back.
That sounds vaguely familiar. The
I think that was
Cyber
that
League. Let me look at this.
It was at least something very similar.
Oh,
but,
God. I remember somebody telling me about it, just like, yeah, it's 4 teams. I'm like, what? What kind of an event is this?
Yeah, this is the classic Russian LAN. So
yeah.
I don't know, VP's there. It's always kind of cool. So there's that, and then there's Birmingham. Wow, so they're leaving that LAN and going right to Birmingham after. Jeez, busy days for old VP.
Oh, our friends at Betway are doing a little Chinese Cup. I wonder who's casting that. Oh, they're partnered with UCC. Okay. The Betway Asian Dota 2 League.
Yeah, I have seen this going on.
I think it's just
some weird teams.
It's just small Chinese cups. It's sort of like those. It's like a Mr. Cat style type thing. 20K cup, small selection of teams, takes place over like a week and a half, something like that.
What is up with these teams having a giant amount of subs?
I have no
idea. Are you allowed to have a bunch of subs on this tournament or something, I guess? If you look at it, if you look at Tigers, it has 458, Abraxas, Velo, Zephyr, Theban, Polison, Mercury, and CZY.
I don't know what to make of that.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the Dota that we're looking at, guys. Dota Pit, MDL, Birmingham.
I don't know if you saw the game today. There was a mid puck in ESL Mumbai this morning.
I did.
It was pretty bad.
He got bodied by Alina.
He did. But I saw that, and as soon as I saw the puck going mid, I was thinking just like, oh, I know what Trent would say right now. Garbage. And as I watched that lane unfold, it proved to be a true prediction. That was
a Nana puck, dude. That's like his hero. At least it used to be.
It was brutal. And he got solo killed under tower. Got hit by an LSA.
It was a 10th pick, by the way. That was like he picked that into the Lena.
Too much confidence, dude.
Was it a good-looking puck game? I didn't really catch it. They had an Oracle, which makes you want to pick puck.
I can't remember.
Has a Lena, and you're like, yeah, I can kind of kill Lena. The Beastmaster. They didn't have the best control for the puck. I can understand why he won it. Surprised he died 8 times, but I guess he just didn't snowball. I didn't see the start of the game. I only caught the end of it.
Yeah, I was sort of half watching while I was trying to get caught up on stuff this morning. Trying to think if there's anything else to talk about. I feel like I had some other talking point, and now it is completely
a Dota one.
Completely eluding me. No, it wasn't a Dota one. It was just something general esports. Oh, we talked about openAI. I think that was one of the things I wanted to mention.
Oh, I didn't get to watch those. Did you watch them?
I had it on in the background, and I watched a good chunk of it. The bots bodied, dude.
I heard that.
The bots have gotten so much better. The viewership was impressive, too. I think it peaked just shy of 50K concurrents. something like that.
They had a really good talent lineup too, though, because they had like everyone there. Like they had Shiver and Odie, and
Purge.
who else was there? Purge was there.
Cap, Blitz.
Yeah. So they had a nice talent pool,
Yep.
and they of course had a very interesting thing, and they had OG. So it's definitely understandable why they got the viewerships. Plus, pretty good time, I believe it was on at too.
Yeah, I was competing with WSOE, so that was something. But a lot on that day. But no, it was pretty impressive. The bots continued to display this incredible mastery of vision abuse with smokes, shadow amulet, just being able to bait people in and then run into fog where it kind of looks like, I can't believe that bot just killed him. And then you look at their perspective, it's like, dude, they never even saw the bot. It stayed.
Oh, that's
perfectly.
one thing they're so good at, dude.
Yeah,
it's very annoying.
So that continued. I think the bots were undefeated, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think they 2-0'd everybody.
They went 2-0 over OG, and from what I understand, they still have a lot of limitations. So humans have not been. There was a nice write-up actually that I did read on the subreddit from the guy who was like kind of into AI and stuff, and just discussing all the limitations that were on there. So it's not completely over. Like they don't know illusions, they don't know invis. So there's a lot of item limitations. There's a lot of hero limitations. So you're kind of playing a different game of Dota. Like for example, you can't buy Manta Style. So that means that if your hero usually uses Manta Style as defense, then I think they can play Death Prophet, for example, on the bot side. So if you get silenced by DP, you can't just Manta it. You have to buy a BKB on a hero that maybe doesn't want a BKB. And that just a lot of little things in Dota that just don't work properly.
No, that was definitely the case before. But I think that the first showing they did, everyone felt like the limitations made it kind of cheesy. And this time, even the limitations are there. It felt like the consensus was more, I can see the improvement. It's kind of scary how good these things are. And I'm starting to believe that given enough time and enough sophistication, these things will be able to play full-blown Dota. You're getting to that point, I think, where that's not some kind of pipe dream. Yeah, right, dude. Good luck with that. Dota's really hard. That human arrogance is quickly evaporating as we're all just like, it turns out Dota's all just a lot of numbers and robots are really good at doing math really quick and, oh, Jesus, the overlords are coming faster than I thought. To me, that's the reality check of like, holy fuck, man. Keep these things in check. Keep them on the flash drives. Don't plug them into the real internet. This shit's scary.
Oh.
It was pretty entertaining, though. There were definitely some of the classic bot moments, though, that were pretty funny, where they, how they decide to like defend and when to fight and stuff like that. There were definitely some moments that were pretty good.
They had their dives as well, their buybacks, I heard too. And I heard they had an arena thing too. I saw people in the chat just mentioning it now, but like everyone can kind of sign up to play, from what I understand.
Oh, okay.
You can like get your team of 5 to play against the bots. So that'd be a little bit interesting. So see, I hope some people stream it. That would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
I would enjoy watching some more with that.
Yeah. They're also pretty ruthless in terms of closing out games. They don't really have watching them, you realize how much of high ground pushing and that thought of, oh, we can end now is super irrational and emotionally driven based on like, we just wiped them. If they don't buy back, we can just end it now. Let's go for it. I want to end this thing right now, and you like motivate your team to make bad decisions because of human emotions. And when you're looking at the robots play, anytime you're like, oh, wow, they have mega creeps, they could end it. They're like, nah, dude, we're going to go back up. There's runes. There's fucking creeps. Like, we got some shit to do. It's the level of methodical execution. It's going to be like that because they're robots, but it's still a little bit stunning to see because I've played, 3,000 games of Dota or something, and I can think about how many times I've been in that exact same moment. Or like it's not even megas. I'm like, oh, dude, this is easy. We 100% won. And seeing how the bots interpret that, they don't see it that way. They're like, we didn't 100% win yet. If we were playing against other bots, we should be a little patient. That's very humbling to see that. At least for me.
Yeah, I hope that it gets to the point that we can learn stuff from it. That would be a lot of fun to enjoy that part of the OpenAI experience. And then I really hope that they kind of secretly enter some open qualifier sometime. That'd be so fun.
That would be ridiculous.
In terms of non-Dota stuff, I guess. What have I been up to? A couple of games released that I've been looking at for a couple of months now. Yeah. So one of them, I think Sing Sing was streaming it, so maybe you guys might have seen it. It's called Outward. It's fairly good. Trent's little indie game recommendations. It's a wait for it to go on sale, but it's a pretty fun game. It's basically like playing think more like earlier Elder Scrolls game, like almost like a better looking Morrowind style, but not quite Skyrim. But you can play it co-op, which is pretty fun. So I've been enjoying that. It's like all just hot, and it's like drop in, drop out. So you can just be playing on your own, and then your buddy comes online. And you're like, yo, you want to go do some stuff? And then you can just like hop into each other. Yes, the voice acting is awful. That is definitely true. But it's a fun game. Do recommend it. It's got a pretty steep curve, which is always good. And I haven't Googled a lot about it, so because like it's kind of a fun game to not know what you're doing. Like you don't want to know like what the magic is and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. And the other game I do recommend more heartily would be Pathfinder. So if you guys like roguelikes like me, sorry, Pathway. I keep calling it Pathfinder because Pathfinder's another game that's out. Pathway is the game. Yeah, it's basically a Final Fantasy Tactics style combat, but in a roguelike setting. So you basically start each adventure with a different squad, and you can kind of customize your squad. And over time, they will level up, so they're going to get better over time. But then as the game progresses, it also gets harder, and there's different campaigns to do. It's very good.
Okay.
And then yeah, Risk of Rain 2 is also very good, as Robin Roll said.
So you know what I've been playing a little bit recently, which is stunning, and I don't have an explanation as to why. PUBG.
Really?
I've actually been playing a little bit of PUBG. Some of it is because I just upgraded my PC, and I'll tell you what, dude, if you have one of those new fashion hard drives, some fancy ass processor, PUBG runs pretty fucking well. I can run 140 FPS on Ultra now. So PUBG got a lot more fun.
That I can understand. Dude, let's play some PUBG after this.
Yeah, dude.
I haven't played that in so long.
It really is the perfect, like, you know, I want to maybe play conservative in the first round, and then I'm just going to keep diving and killing people till I get bored, and it's a good way to just burn a couple hours and have a little fun shooting people. Right now I got Dota for my strategy, Path of Exile for my slaying, my dungeon crawling, and I got PUBG for my FPSing, my headshotting. I got all my bases covered right now. Now I'm going to have Civ 6 on the Switch for my mobile gaming. Like, I'm plugged into the gameverse right now, man.
Damn, dude, your life is good. You're all set.
I know. Going to the mine. My only gripe right now is that I cannot play Path of Exile on the go because it doesn't run on Mac, and my MacBook's too shitty to run it on Boot Camp. So I actually can't play Path of Exile at Dota Pit unless they have computers there that I could install PoE on and do a little grinding in between games.
You have to get on the Warframe hype. I hear that game is pretty good. It's very similar.
Okay.
It's similar grindy style, but it's FPS. But it's on Switch.
I never got into Warhammer. I understand the concept of what
Warframe. Yeah, it's different.
This is Warframe.
Yes, this is not Warhammer.
My bad. I saw the ad this morning, and I definitely read it as Warhammer. Warframe. Okay. What is Warframe, you say?
It's like a picture like Halo style shooting, but it's more of a shooter-looter.
Shooter-looter.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I only hear good things. My brother plays it a ton.
All right.
He's all into it. Destiny, but free. That's a pretty good way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like it. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that brings us pretty much to a close here. Anything you want to say about auto chess? Any updates in the auto chess world since we just completed another event?
It was pretty fun. I mean, I'm happy the game is still holding on. Like it still has like a decent amount of streamers and viewers. I still see it like chilling up there in the top. Obviously, like the pandemonium of it has died down a little bit. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, I should say third person, not FPS. I was thinking more of shooter style, but you're right. It is third person. But yeah, I don't know. Auto chess is still kind of fun. I still hop in every once in a while. I still see my friends playing it every once in a while on the list and stuff. So I look forward to the mobile coming because I will definitely play that game on my phone. No question.
Yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I think I'm getting to the point where I really can't wait for it to be somehow properly integrated. You know, I think it's getting close to the break point of Valve either needs to fucking buy this thing and make it a real mini game, or they need to fuck off and just make their own game that's a standalone version.
Yeah,
they need to do
their mobile
something.
game's coming out. It's confirmed already.
Yeah. So, but it couldn't come faster, I guess, is what I'm using a lot of words to poorly express, because it's brutal. I agree with all the Suns fan gripes. The queue system and getting just perpetually stuck with people that are AFK or dodge queues or can't connect. And
it's like I don't really want to join an in-house. I just want to play a quick game and while I'm watching Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. The only way to really like play it for real is to do in-houses, and that's like a whole nother level that I'm not really ready to commit to. And there's this, it's a tough intermediate, and the game isn't quite fun enough for me to like suffer through all that to just grind it nonstop. So I'm kind of in the same camp where I play it occasionally. I'm still enjoying it, but I'm getting a little bit a little tired of just the general bugs and issues. And I really want just a good spectator interface so we can do events without having to restream other streams. That would really make my life a lot easier. It's tough out there.
Life will be good
for aspiring TOs, dude.
Oh,
all right. Cool. Well, folks, next time you'll see us, it'll be in Croatia. I would like to do at least one IRL stream there at some point. Lacoste is at least a Croatian local, not a split local, but I'm hoping that I can get him to go show us around for an hour or two, and we can capture a little bit of footage from the local cuisine, the local scenery, and see what Split is all about on some of the downtime. We're going to have Scriff joining us as well. I don't know if that's been announced anywhere, but Scriff is supposed to be the observer for this event, so we're going to have some proper obs to make the viewing experience a lot better, and we get the great benefit of getting to hang out with Scriff in Croatia, so winners all around.
Woo woo.
So there you go. If you guys popped into this podcast late, you'll find it on the Moonduck YouTube, youtube.com/moonducktv, and the audio only at Zyori.tv. That's the home of this podcast, and of course iTunes, all those other places. But we're done. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. The minor right around the corner.